Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the University of the District of Columbia. I'm Allyn Johnson. Thank you for coming to our Meet the Artist series. This afternoon, I'm happy to have my brother, Tim Green. Tim Green is someone that I admire and look up to. Every time I'm on the stage with him, he raises the level, you know. Some musicians do that to you, they make you step up a notch, or two, or three. And I'm glad to have him today. Let's welcome Mr. Tim Green, saxophonist. You can pull out your saxophone.
Okay. Play some music.
Yeah, we're gonna start with some music.
Okay.
Do you want to, well, I'll let you do that.
Okay.
I'm just glad to have Tim with us today. I've known Tim a long time. Actually, first met you in person in New York. I was playing for a recital for the, who was it? Oh, one of the Barber brothers. Was it Roland? Oh, it was Roland Barber, trombonist, for his master's recital. And I ran into Tim at Manhattan School of Music, where were you getting your master's there?
Undergrad.
Undergraduate, yeah, degree. And we had both heard of each other, because he's from Baltimore. And I ran into him in New York, so after that, we made sure that we linked up when he got back home. And, I love Tim's playing and his musicianship. And we're going to talk to Tim later. I don't know what we're going to play. But whatever you want to play, Tim, we're going to play. Yeah.
Thank you all so much for having me this evening or this afternoon. So happy to be here with you all today. With, the great Allyn Johnson, one of my favorite musicians in the world. And it's a true honor when he asked me to come and be with you all this afternoon and be a part of, let's see, let's turn this on.
Check 1, 2, there we go. I'll say it again for the cameras. Thank you all so much for being here with us this afternoon. So happy to be here. One of my musical brothers, the great Allyn Johnson, he's a true gem to the world. He happens to live here in DC. So give it up for Allyn Johnson, y'all. And yeah, I guess we'll play some music and go from there.
All right, now we have to talk. That was a composition entitled "In Your Own Sweet Way," written by the great Dave Brubeck, and I'm so glad to have Tim here. Let's get to know you a little better. So just kind of tell us, I guess, about how you grew up in music, and I guess as a child, your first, I guess, dealings with music.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, my name is Tim Green. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. Born and raised in Baltimore, on the southwest side of Baltimore. I got into music from my dad. My dad's a singer. And he had a group back in the day called Pure Heart. And they actually recorded some records and had a record. They went to California and did recorded a record, and all these great musicians on the record, Paul Jackson Jr. and all these folks in Los Angeles. So my dad was the catalyst behind me playing music. Like I said, he had a group and they would travel around town. Back in the day when gospel was all about the quartet groups. So my dad and two of my uncles, they had a group together where they would travel around. They actually had a Winnebago that they rented out. Would go around, all around, they put that gear in it. Back when you had DX7s and you had the guitars and all that stuff was happening back in the day. So that's how I got into music, and my dad played music all the time around the house. And eventually, my brother, my older brother that plays music, the trumpet player, and eventually, just like any young son or young brother, you want to kind of be like your dad or your big brother. So my brother played trumpet, and I decided to follow him to a band camp when I was 10 years old. I said, let me just follow my brother up here. And my mom was like, okay, just follow your brother. Go ahead and just, see what he's doing, see if you can be a part of it. So I said, okay, cool, I'll go with him. So I went to a band camp, and I initially wanted to play the drums. And of course, as many young kids grow up beating on the pots and pans and different things like that, so plenty of drummers in the band, everybody also played drums. So my teacher at the band camp, she decided to tell me I'm playing alto saxophone. I said, okay. Well,
She told you.
he told me, yeah. She said, we got enough drummers, so how about you play saxophone? I said, okay, cool. So she pointed out to this case that was in the back of the room. It was this little dusty suitcase-looking case. I still remember the day in the case. I don't want to play this. Man. This thing, I got to take this home. That's back in the day. I'm in middle school. I don't want to take this case home. This doesn't look cool. So so I figured I'd give it a try, take it home, and I went home and I pulled the instrument out of the case. I don't know what happened to me that day. Something happened that day when I pulled the instrument out of the case. Something beyond my normal physical interactions with the world, I would say. I picked up the instrument and I played like a note or something, and the same feeling that, I usually get through the music, especially when I'm playing with Allyn and a lot of my brothers in the music. Something came through the music or came through that horn that I was just like, wow, I gotta find some kind of way to trace that or continue to get that same feeling through the instrument. So I've been chasing that feeling ever since I picked up the horn for the first time. And yeah, that's how I got into music. Through my band teacher, she gave me the horn. She said, okay, you're gonna play this instrument, and that was it. And then from then on, everything kind of happened to then. So not to get too deep or whatever the case may be, but I feel like at that moment, for me picking up that instrument, music chose me. I remember Great Fred Early. Give it up for Mr. So I remember a story I saw with the great Kurt Weldon, great tenor saxophonist. He told a story. He said, we don't choose music, music chooses you. So on that day, I was playing, baseball and basketball, just like any 11-year-old playing outside as we used to do. And anyway, that day, something just hit me. And the feeling or the gift of music hit me that day. And I've been playing music ever since then, as a not only a source for me to play for others, but also just to play for myself. That feeling that we get through the music. I've been chasing that every day. So that's why I'm here today, trying to play with Allyn, so I can get that. So that's all I got in the music.
Oh, that's great. Your story about how the saxophone chose you, I have a similar story, but I didn't really have to choose an instrument, actually. It just seems like, so my family had always been going to church. And I just can remember just being in church and just hearing this music and watching the organist play and the pianist play. And it was just like, man, the music just like overtook me. And in my mind, it was all because of the piano player.
Yeah, it's funny about that. I talk to my mom sometimes. She gives me some more insight into when it comes to, certain gifts that she sees, and, you see in your kids. I see it in my kid. I got 2 kids, and I can see that gift. My son is very sociable. He has a quick wit about him. So I'm thinking like, okay, maybe he has a gift for talking to people. Maybe he can be a politician or something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
An honest one.
Yeah, maybe an honest one. Maybe something in that sphere where he needs to be social with people or something like that. So my mom said, it was a gift, when you had a gift of sensitivity or a gift of, some certain gift that you had, and it just happens to come out in music. So I feel like maybe no matter what I would have did or what instrument I would have played, maybe that same gift I would have been chasing through something else. But I'm glad I got the saxophone and I'm not playing the piano. So yeah.
Yeah, so that was in middle school. So in high school, I guess you continued, I'm sure. What high school did you go to?
I went to Baltimore School for the Arts, where a lot of my mentors went. The great Mark Gross went there, Antonio Hartley went there. I went there for high school and studied with the same classical teacher that we all studied with. His name is Dr. Chris Ford. He was the one that kind of instilled the technical side of the saxophone. So if you ever hear me play or my attention to technique, that's really kind of where seed kind of was playing it from Dr. Chris Ford. He made sure we were playing it. Those etudes, same with me and Mark Gross and Antonio Hartley. We pretty much everybody that went to Baltimore School for the Arts, we didn't necessarily start playing jazz as a means to begin the instrument. It was about the classical repertoire, and it's kind of that's what I went to school. And also Dr. David Stambler, who was my teacher there as well. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It seems like a lot of musicians most of the musicians I know from Baltimore are just like on a whole nother level. What is it, in your opinion? What is it? Just what is it?
You know what it is? It's I'll say this. There's an accountability or a sense of responsibility that you get from the crowd or the community of people that come and hear you play. Like when you're playing at the Caton Castle, sure everybody here knows about that place.
I'll be there Saturday.
Right. So when you step in that place, there is a certain amount of energy that is coming your way, that you have a certain expectation on you that you are supposed to be playing. You know what I'm saying? And if you're not playing, not the action to play, but there's these little check-ins. You've been there, everybody knows. There's these little check-ins that happen at Baltimore Gate from like elders that come up to you. But yeah, that was all right. I heard what she was doing last week, but you come in here and play that, you need to, maybe add a piano or add another horn to that, you know what I mean? Or maybe you need to think about doing it like this or something like that. Can you play this song? Or that was cool. You know, there's an accountability or a certain amount of expectation from the people that come, and they just want to hear the blues. You know what I mean? Your sense of accomplishment is in Baltimore is tied to the blues. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's kind of tied to that. So anytime we pick up an instrument, whether it's myself, like I said, Antonio Hart, Mark Gross, and Chris Fun, or just anybody in Baltimore, Warren Wolf, anybody down there, we have been trained to play the blues based on what the community has pretty much instilled in us as a means of communication. So that's why we have to make it, because I'm listening in my head. Okay, come on, you got at some point you got to ramp it up. So I got to calm myself down sometimes. So.
Yeah. No, that's wonderful. That's important. You know, community that knows what the music is supposed to sound like and what it's supposed to feel like.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think that's almost missing in some regards today.
Right.
You know, I won't go on my soapbox about that.
But we live.
Yeah, we live. But yeah, the accountability to the elders.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? Where the music is handed down, that's almost missing in some respects. But that's, man, Baltimore musicians, man, on a whole nother level. You know, thinking like Dennis Chambers, man. You know, that guy.
When you hear Dennis Chambers sit down the drums,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that he's playing with that same intent, that same voice in your head.
Yeah.
Because Dennis Chambers and Gary Thomas, they all came
yeah,
up
Gary
playing
Thomas,
the same,
yeah.
you know, they play modern and have these all modern ideas, but they all started in the same, you know, you hear Gary Thomas playing, you know, he can play, sound like Dexter, he can sound,
Yeah.
all that stuff. And the same with Dennis Chambers and all of them, they can play all that stuff, and they still hear that same voice in their head from the guy coming to them.
Oh yeah. So that leads to one of my questions actually. Who were some of the musicians in Baltimore that you looked up to, or you still look up to, you know, coming up? I know one in particular that who's still with us that I look up to. I call him every once in a while. He calls me Mr. Covington.
Yes, sir.
You know,
Yes, sir.
but who is some of the
My biggest inspiration growing up was Antonio Hart. That was my biggest inspiration. He was playing with Roy Hargrove, and I used to go to the library, and I used to go and, you know, you can go rent out CDs, different things like that. So I remember the cover of, what's the name of the record with Roy on the front? The Vibe. Yeah, The Vibe. We picked up the cover of that record, then read down the CD cover, it says Antonio Hart. I was like, Antonio Hart's from Baltimore. So I was like, whoa. He's from Baltimore, and I went to start listening to that record. And then I realized that Antonio Hart went to the Baltimore Stupid Yachts. I started kind of connecting the dots. And then I just went on a tangent and just, you know, would beg my parents to buy every Antonio Hart record I can find. And go and do that. I remember when he was nominated for a Grammy for, I think the record was Here I Stand. It was on Impulse. He was nominated for a Grammy. So Antonio Hart was my biggest inspiration. I mean, I listened to Antonio Hart when I'd be on the bus going to school. I wanted to play the horn that he played, the Yannick Sour. I always wanted to wear glasses, man. Because him and Mark Rose, they wore glasses and they looked so cool.
Right.
They both wore glasses and they both, you know, wore suits all the time.
Right.
But I couldn't get it. I don't need glasses. I need glasses. So I always wanted to be like those guys, but I couldn't quite get my glasses thing together, you know. But yeah, Antonio Hart was in Gary Bartz and further along.
Yeah,
Mark
Tom Williams on there too.
Yeah.
That's the. I'm trying to say the first record he put out as a leader for the first time.
Yeah.
That record, man, changed my life, man.
Yeah.
I used to share piano and drums to that record.
Yeah.
You know, because Margaret was on that.
Yep. Louis Nash.
Yeah, Louis Nash and Tom Williams was on there. And I could sing every solo on that record, man.
Yes, sir.
You know. And then when I got a chance to play with Antonio Hart, I can tell you a story about Antonio Hart.
Sure.
The first time I played with Antonio Hart, we played at Twins up on Colorado Avenue. And it's me and Michael Bowie, I forget who was on the drums. So, you know how Tony Hart is, he gonna test you, right? So we playing Cherokee, you know, B flat. So we playing, take it up. Okay, keep going. I'm looking at Michael Bowie like, what is this dude doing, man? This is not school, like, you know. We playing, we go up, and I forget how far we go. We stop, we play, stop playing that tune. Blues. So go up and down, go up. I think rhythm changes, up, on, up. I was mad. I was like, man, what are you doing? You know, and he's like, oh man, you can play, or you can, you can hear. And I was like, okay, like, are we done? Like, we done now? But we were cool, cool after that. But he's like a mentor to me too. He's, a great musician, and things like that. See that spirit of like being accountable, and that spirit is he has that spirit, the Baltimore spirit.
But the thing was, I felt like with the only they wanted just to know. I felt like the music was part of the test. It was like like, are you willing to be humble enough just to like, okay, I'm gonna throw the same thing. We all been through the same thing with all the cats. Like, it's like, okay, are you going to? Okay, we know you're gonna mess up.
Right.
You're gonna stumble a little bit. But do you have like enough? You have enough humility to just go back and shed it and come back? Because I've had them experiences, and still I got mentors to this day. And I'd be like, man, do you know this ballad? Not really. Well, I need you to learn this. Like, oh, okay, all right. So anyway, that's on every level. This guy still holds us accountable. But we all still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, and one more thing about Tony Hart with you. There's a video of us playing at Caden Castle. We were playing Eternal Triangle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a classic video of Tim Green and Tony Hart going at it, like in the spirit of what Sonny Stitt and Gene Ammons or somebody with 2 altos though. Let's play some more.
Okay.
Yeah, let's play some more. So, let's see, pick up the story, high school. Okay, let's talk about, I guess, your college years. So you went to Manhattan School of Music.
Yeah, Manhattan School of Music, yeah.
I'm gonna ask you this, being an educator, I guess I'm an educator. How beneficial was going to Manhattan School of Music? What was it? That's my question.
Yeah, it was huge for me. I mean, first things first. My parents would tell you, I just wanted to be in New York City. I wanted to be around the energy of New York City. When we drove up to New York City, my first day in New York, I realized that my parents realized that Manhattan School of Music didn't really have dorms, and that we were basically kind of staying in the. It was kind of like one of those like hostels, like in Europe. You see, like it's got like one room and everybody's like communal space, stuff type of thing. So I pulled up, and we pulled up, had my stuff in there in little containers, you know how they do when they move in. I said, man, where the dorms at? And he said, this is your room right here. I kid you not, my room was right over top of a deli. Like, those little bodegas in New York City? I mean, like, my window was right there, like, the exhaust was coming right to. He said, you want to be in New York? Here's New York. So, bam, I was right in the energy, right there on 101 and Broadway. They eventually had dorms after that. But anyway, so that's my story. I really wanted to be in New York City, and Manhattan School of Music was, it was huge for me because the environment, you know what I mean? The atmosphere of New York was a school by itself. I mean, you can just be in New York and just learn, but you're in New York City and you're also going to a actual college. So we would be in New York, me and my buddy Ambrose Akamushi, we would be in New York at school, going to school, waking up. We had a schedule. We wake up at 7 a.m., go practice. Our first class was at 10. Then we go through all our classes, and after that, we'll go to the jam session, go to Cleopatra's Needle, Eric Lewis be up there. He would, allow us to sit in with him and do our, he kind of wrote some things out with him. So we were getting everything. We were going to school, had great teachers there. I studied with Dick Oates there, Gary Dow, who was my theory teacher there, and he was really responsible for like me learning harmony, kind of bringing some more to the blues. Oh, you got the blues about this major sharp 5, about the harmonic minor modes and the melodic minor modes. So he helped me to kind of refine my sense of harmony a little bit. So yeah, I love Manhattan School of Music. I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah. New York has definitely an energy when you have to bring it, right? So who are some of the people, I guess, like your career, like did you meet some of your future, I guess, future bosses, I guess, in New York? So because I know you worked with the great Margot Miller. How did you meet, I guess, let's say, how did you meet Margot? How was it?
I met Margaret when I went to graduate from Manhattan School of Music, and after that I went to the Thelonious Monk Institute, which is now the Herbie Hancock Institute in LA, and we were able to bring in our artists in residence, I guess, once a month. So everybody had a turn. So okay, well, who you want to be? You got any suggestions? So at that time, I've been listening to Margaret Miller's live album, Live at Yoshi's, and that record just captivated me. I listened to that record so much. Everything that I wanted to play in music was on that record, and I listened to that. So I came into Margaret's playing from that record. I knew him from playing on Mark Gross's records, the Riddle Sphinx, and like some of Mark Gross's records, stuff like that. But I didn't really, to be honest, I didn't know. I knew from listening to records, of course, a ton of records, but I never, because Margaret was a side man a lot of times. You know what I mean? He had his own records, but he was doing a lot of side man stuff. So, but a lot of Yoshi's records were things. So anyway, I was like, let me ask if I can get Margaret Miller to come to the school. So, sure enough, Margaret comes through to the school, and I was like, man, I want to play with this guy. I want to play with Margaret Miller. So, and when I was in California studying at USC, I was studying with the great Jeff Clayton, and he told me, he said, man, you said, okay, I see what you're doing, you're playing, but you want to get some gigs. So I was like, yeah, man, I want to get some gigs. I want to get some gigs. Right, so I was like, well, let me tell you how to get some gigs. I said, okay, nobody ever told me about how to get gigs. I thought I'm just, my thing, I wanted to move to New York, and maybe Roy Hoggle would call me. And then I was like, okay, maybe we just have to follow. Yeah, heard you in town, right? I had no idea. I told myself by my third year, at least I'll play with Roy or something. But, hey. So he said, man, you learn people's music, and then you tell them that you know the music. A job interview. You want a job? Can you flip burgers? Oh, no. can you, whatever, man, can you, whatever the job requires, people need to know that you know that music. That's the job description. So he said, well, you want to play with Margaret? I said, yeah. So learn this music and tell them that you know the music. Send your application in. You think what I'm saying? I was like, okay, that's my application. Okay, Mr. Miller, here's some of your music. And he left his music at the Multitude. We all played all the Wingspan charts. Because we pretty much had the same band. So he left his music, and I just started taking the music. I was like, take this, so I took that. And then I went home, and then me and Allyn started hooking up, and we figured out we shared the same love for Margaret. So we started playing Margaret's music on gigs. So I started sending Margaret clips of us playing still.
Oh, I did not know that.
You know that, yeah.
No, I did not.
So I was like, Mr. Miller, look, we love you, and here's us playing your tune. I think we was playing, I can't remember the song it was. From Day to Day, we were playing that one. And Warren Wolf too. We were all kind of like babies of Margaret in a way, because we all played the blues and we all loved harmony, and we all, we were all kind of, so anyway, that's how the Rachel and Margaret grew. You know what I mean? It's just like, we kind of built a relationship like that, so.
Yeah, I remember that one gig we did in New York. When Margaret came to
Oh,
the
yeah.
Was that New York?
That was
That was in
crazy.
New York,
Yeah,
right?
that was crazy.
Yeah, and you didn't tell me he was going to be there.
I didn't know either. He just showed up. He just showed up because Derek was playing.
Yeah,
It was like his whole band was there. It was
Yeah.
me, you, Derek, and Obed.
Yeah,
It was like
that
all
was-
of his.
Yeah, that was scary. That was pretty. And we playing this hard music.
I know. I didn't know either. So I said, Margaret said he's just chilling up there, man. He just hanging.
Yeah, that was crazy. That's wonderful, man. So my question also is, so you play with a lot of the masters, like Joe Chambers. We were talking about Joe Chambers in the office, and what are some things that you learned from, I guess, playing with all these great musicians that we love so much?
I would say, one thing that I've learned from them is that they know a lot about music, and they don't necessarily want you to talk about it for the most part. Like me and Allyn is up here playing, and I'm always bothering Allyn about it. I'm like, can you show me this voice? We laugh and joke. I'll be like, at some point, I'll get to Allyn at the piano and be like, okay, so what did you do on this tune? Or what is this? Blah, blah, blah. And then you open up the world of Allyn's musical mind, and then you find all the brilliance and all the stuff that's in the brain of, I'm sitting in this office, I'm like, man, I got this big band Charlie. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? So it's the same thing with like all the great musicians. Like, they all are brilliant musicians, and unfortunately, through the journey of recording jazz and jazz history, it's been overshadowed by a lot of the negative thoughts about jazz. And you don't see jazz presented in the pictures in a symphony hall. You see Leonard Bernstein, you see him in front of his orchestra at the New York Philharmonic, and he's conducting his piece. You see Charlie Parker, he's in a jazz club with smoke and cigarettes. You know what I mean? So you don't get the same feeling from. I'm sorry. So anyway, I just learned that they're all brilliant musicians, man. Like, try to find some time to. You mentioned Joe Chambers, and we were
Can you tell a little bit of that story?
Oh yeah.
Now, this is real deal, on the job stuff that happens.
Yeah, this is a funny story. When I was first coming up in New York, young musician, and I got a call to play with Joe Chambers. He's recording a big band record. I'm like, okay, all right, well, you act like I belong here. So I get to the thing, and I'm still a young musician. They got to go through the ropes in New York City. So I sit down, and those type of gigs are very coveted gigs. You just don't walk into a room and play in a big band. There's people in New York City that have been there for 20 years, just waiting for certain calls. You just don't. You don't do that. That's something like, who called? How did you get here? Do you live here? That type of thing, So I'll call, my man David Wise, he's been calling me for gigs, so I guess I'm gonna do this gig. So I sit down in the chair, and very prominent tenor saxophonist in New York City, looks at me and is like, "Where's such and such at, man? What are you doing here, man? What are you doing here?" I'm like, "What you mean? What am I doing here? I don't know." Where, like, I hate to say that. I don't want to say
Don't
that.
do that, 'cause it would be funny, but you don't have to say the name.
I know. So okay, I'll say it. Whatever. Okay, so
It happens.
it happened. So it was Ron Blake, the great tenor saxophone player. He looked at me and he said, "Where's Steve Wilson?" And I was like, "Whoa!" I was like, "Okay." So I'm young. I'm like, "Okay, I know Steve Wilson, but I'm going to figure it out today."
Oh my
So
God.
where's your stuff at, man? You got your pencil? You got a pen? I mean, he took me through it, man. I was like, "Oh snap!" So, but you know, years later, I mean, as a young musician, you got to go through that, man. That's a part of the elders holding you accountable. Like I was saying in Baltimore,
Yeah.
they said this is the expectation. If anything, you need to be pulling up like a professional,
Yeah.
like Steve Wilson, like Mark Gross, like Vic Oates. This is what we are requiring of you in this gig. I was like, "Oh, okay, let me get it together."
Yeah, no, that's a great story because that put everything in perspective.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah. Put me
yeah,
on
you
notice.
want to do this on a certain level.
Right.
Yeah, you got to be ready, man. So, let me see. So, like me, both of us, the church, the black church in particular has shaped us musically. And can you talk about that? You know, the influence that church has on your.
I guess for me, a lot of people say, a lot of people think I grew up in the church, but I kind of did, I kind of didn't, in a way.
Who was straddling the fence? As the old saints say.
Right. So I grew up in a church, kind of, sort of. My family, we went to Bible study every Tuesday, and we didn't have no drums, no nothing. Like I said, part of my community with my uncles, they had a group, so all my uncle Mike, who was the pastor, he made all the tracks for the service.
Oh.
So all the hymns and all the congregational songs, he would make all the tracks, and then we'd do praise and worship like that. I didn't play in church at all. I just came in on Tuesdays, and praise and worship was my Uncle Mike's tracks, and then everybody sung, because the singing group went to this. Uncle Bubba and my dad, they all went to this church. So that's how I kind of grew up in church, and but yeah, that's why I guess, you know, the spirit of church was kind of in me from that for the most part. So
Yeah, because I mean, also Tim has played with and recorded with some of the top gospel artists in the world, and he's very, you know, he doesn't know it, but he's influenced a lot of horn players and horn sections, and because you play with Mo horns and
yeah.
who are some of the artists, I guess gospel artists that.
So the most recent thing that I've done, Andre Crouch, before he passed away, about, he passed, I don't know, maybe 6-7 years.
Is that the Journey?
The Journey, yeah, The Journey. So Andre Crouch, we recorded with him on his last project. On top of Andre Crouch, I worked with Israel Houghton and New Breed. Their record called Another Level was a live DVD and a record they put out. That was along with my brother Marvin Thompson, also with Fred Hammond. Played with them. If you know that TV show Sunday's Best, it's on BET.
Yeah.
I played saxophone on Sunday's Best for 2 years, the time Allyn Johnson wanted me. So in the gospel scene, maybe I can talk about how I kind of got into it.
Yeah, sure. We'd love to hear that. Maybe I can get a gig or something.
I don't know what happened. I'll make it quick, but anyway, when I was in New York City, my brother Marvin Thompson was a legend in the gospel world. He may be the most recorded trombonist, and I think so. I think he's in the Guinness World. Anyway, he started calling me for these gigs. I'm a jazz musician. He's like, "Yeah, man, you need to hear these gigs." I'm like, "All right, cool, man. This pays pretty good. Whoa, let me do these gigs. This pays better than the jazz gig."
Yeah.
So I started doing the gigs, and then all of a sudden, you know, one thing likes to another, and I ended up in this gospel world, and I didn't know who none of these cats was. I didn't know what Aaron Lindsay was. I kind of knew who Fred Hammond was, I didn't know who Israel Houghton was. I mean, this is like, I'm like, where's Christian McBride? Where's Justine Watts? Where's Roy at? You know, I'm like, I don't know these guys. So I just started working with these musicians through Marvin when I was, you know, in my freshman and sophomore year in college. I later found out who Israel Houghton was, and Aaron Lindsay, and Nano Haynes, and all these, you know, Stanley Brown, and Benjamin Love, and Lauren Dawson. I eventually found out that, man, that's Stanley Brown right there. He's the one that produced Kid and Play and produced Karen Clark back in the day. I was like, oh, whoa, I had no idea. I thought the money was good, so I was trying to pay my bills in college. But anyway,
Okay.
so that's how I got in that scene, and then from there, I ended up kind of playing like some solo saxophone stuff because I was like the jazz musician that played saxophone, and they knew that I could play. So they just started pointing to me, all right, Tim, play over this. All right, come on, man, this guy can play. All right, just get up and play. So I just was just doing that. So if you listen to any of those records, they all have like these random moments in there where like these saxophone solos, because either Marvin or Stanley or somebody was just like, all right, this is our ace in the hole right here. All right, all right, there, go. He's like, all right, we need some, come on, let's get up and, you know, this guy's a jazz musician. So that's kind of how I started, you know, so.
Yeah, so we're going to wrap this up. I know it's getting late. The hour's getting late. Before we do, should we play another song before we take, I just want to take questions?
Play a song.
Let's play another song and then we'll wrap it up. All right. Let's give a hand for Mr. Tim. Thank you so much for coming.
Like Allyn Johnson.
today. All right, thank you for
Who
coming.
wrote the last tune?
Oh, that was a tune called Carousel by the great Paul Blue Miller.
And the blues that you played?
Oh, it's Gary Bartz, called Uncle Bubba by Gary Bartz. Yeah.
Thank
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's
Thanks
it.
so much for having me, I appreciate you.
Mr. Irving, Mr. Irving, oh, Mr. Irving.
Hold us accountable, man.
Calvin and Tim,
Yes, sir.
y'all know I got that CD in my car.
Oh,
No
the
CD in that jar.
Oh,
That too.
oh, yeah. Tribute to Moon.
Yeah.